Facebook, go find my friends. Good morning, Polly's Island peeps. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Rob. You know what today is, Rob? Today is Friday, August 27th, 2021, and it's time for your Polly's Island sunrise and surf report with Dave Clayton and today's special guest, Louis.
Hey, how are y'all doing today?
All right.
And it's Noah's birthday, right?
It is Noah's
happy
birthday.
Noah.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Louis.
Man, it is gorgeous again.
It is gorgeous. And you happen to know lots of statistics. You did some homework.
Well, you caught me off guard last time, man. So I'm ready. It's 78 degrees right now. Supposed to get up to 84. I think one app said up to 85, but they said the wind's out of the southeast at 5, even though you and I have said it's a little stronger at 5, we think.
It's blowing.
Yeah, sunrise at 6:47, I believe. So it's coming up here in a minute or two.
What time do you have?
That's a great question. And I'm going to give you it's 6:42, man. So we're 5 minutes away from seeing that orb crest the horizon there.
All right.
And with the wind out of the southeast, why don't you tell us about your no-seam index, man?
Well, this is one of the bright spots of the morning. This is one of the reasons it's TGIF. Because the no-seam index today, the reading is officially a 0.
The whole day.
I think right now with this southeast wind, not the whole day probably. We've got some variable winds in the afternoon. And there's going to be a little period today where the wind dies down, probably about noon.
Yeah.
But right now, all we smell is ocean.
And that's a good thing, man.
Yes, it is a good thing. We smell England or Bahamas or Bermuda. You smell it?
Probably more Bermuda, right?
Yeah, do you smell it?
No, sir. But I could lie to you. I do. No.
I smell shrimp.
Man, that's always a good thing.
I know. What's your favorite food?
Man, my favorite, it's the food that doesn't move too fast where I can't get it. I love seafood. I love steak. I mean, I just love, unfortunately, you can look at my body physique and tell I love food way too much, man.
We all do. Yeah, I'm a seafood guy. If it swam, I'm thinking that it's really tasty.
Fried shrimp can't be beat though, I don't think.
It is hard to beat fried shrimp.
Especially when you add French fries and hush puppies to it.
True Southerner. Well, do you want to walk that way?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Okay.
I'm always amazed at the shells right here at this part of the beach. It was amazing. You didn't get that many as you go further north. My friend Dave Clayton was telling me it has to do with the shelf right out there. That it's
Yes, it's a
that's
slow.
an angle.
It's a slow. It's not very deep right there. Offshore, in a lot of places, you go this way and then all of a sudden, choo, it's deep. But here it's a slow decline, which makes the beach a lot safer for swimming. That's not a shark's tooth, is it?
No, sir.
Okay, okay. You're pretty flexible.
No, sir.
Well, you did a pose there that was pretty incredible. I don't know if I could have done that.
At 61, I creak all the time.
So Fridays have turned into Fridays with Louis.
Or Fridays with Dave. It depends on your perspective.
That's true. Waves are 2-footers today, Louis.
Oh, I thought you said 3. Was it 2-footer?
It is 2 to 3, but as I look at it, there's no way those are 3-footers.
Yeah.
But they are possibly maxing out at about 2 feet. Right now, those are 1-footers.
That might explain why there's no surfers out this morning.
Well, that wind has made them kind of on top of each other, and the swell is not real good.
Yeah.
Although it is a 1-star surfing day, so once in a while you do get a pretty good wave. Like that one, that's a 2-footer.
Yeah. And one behind it.
Yeah, that's another 2-footer.
Don't they come in 3s? I guess that just came in 2s, right?
Yeah, really, it depends on the... Boy, look at the colors to the south. Visibility is 5 miles today, right now.
I don't have my glasses on, so for me, the visibility is about a quarter of a mile.
Oh, goodness. Good morning, Laurel. Hope you're having a great morning. So I'm going to introduce you again. Sometimes I make the mistake of assuming that people know exactly who you are because we've introduced you before. Louis was on here last Friday as well.
It's harder to thank God for Fridays on a Wednesday, right? So that's why we do it on a Friday.
It makes a lot more sense. So Louis Imsande is the senior pastor at Pawleys Island Presbyterian Church, and I happened to go to the service last Sunday, and I've talked a little bit about it this week on the Sunrise and Surf Report. And one thing that really stood out to me, did you get my text about that?
About which?
About what stood out to me, what you said.
I don't remember what you said.
Yeah, I texted you. I gave feedback on it.
Okay.
You know, like, you know, a little feedback, like what was the real standout. The math thing was really cool. So Louis talked about creation and how improbable it would be for this earth and the human being, and even just a cell, to happen without God, without creation being started by a creator. That's what he talked about, and it was really fascinating. So I wanted him to share that with us today. But there was one other thing you said, and you talked about chaos.
Yeah.
Say that real. You remember that?
You know, I think I know what you're talking about. It's just, to me, sometimes we don't engage our eyes and our mind and just everyday stuff. When you look around this world, you see it moving from order to chaos. You know, as you and I wake up every morning and we look in the mirror, we get grayer and wrinklier and creaky. And we were just talking about, I was like, my back doesn't move like it used to. Trees get older and fall down. Things go from order to chaos with age. They break down. And so everything in this universe does just that. And so it's kind of illogical to say that this world then came out of chaos and ended up in this beautiful, intricate, super designed, detailed order. It goes against everything we see and feel and experience in our life. And so it makes no sense. You know, to get a watch, you have to have a watch factory. It doesn't just rain watches out of the sky. Someone's got to put those things together. And so we talked about that a lot, and just the odds. You know, our Earth at the closest point of our orbit is a hair under 100 million miles from the sun. And not me, but folks who are smarter than me have said that if we were just like a mile closer to the sun, we'd burn up. If we were like a mile further away, we'd freeze to death and water wouldn't be around. And so, you know, it's either just a little bit in and all our water turns to steam and we die and burn up, or a little bit further. And so just that fact that there's a planet the exact distance away from the sun, orbiting the sun with an atmosphere, with water. Again, I don't know what those odds are, but let's go to Vegas, right? If those odds are good.
So fascinating. And then you talked about the math.
Well, the problem with starting off as a software engineer and being a math minor is you like numbers. And so I can put folks to sleep sometimes just looking at numbers. My dad was a geneticist, and so I grew up early on looking at probability and statistics and stuff like that. And so just, you know, I think there's something like 10 to the 80th power electrons in our known universe. And so that's not near enough to start, you know, life or whatever. And so if you look, if each of those electrons was in itself like a universe, which I know doesn't make sense, and it's not possible or probable, but if that was possible, that'd be 10, you take 80 times 2 and get 160, it'd be 10 to the 160th power of electrons in this crazy world where every electron in itself was a universe. You need something like 10 to the 9,000th power just for one simple protein to happen, and we need 400 to 2,000 complex proteins. So just one simple kind of a protein, you can't get to there for the odds of creation. At best, if every electron we had was in itself a universe and had 10 to 80 electrons, you can see, you know, 10 to the 9,000th minus 10 to the 180, you're nowhere near any probability of a simple protein, let alone 200 to 4,000 that we need being created. So just that is staggering. I think we use the metaphor, you know, how probable that is just for even a simple cell being created. A great metaphor is, do you remember those Rubik cubes? We used to love, like when I was younger, to speed those, see how fast you could do. But if I've never tried it blindfold, but I've seen some YouTube of folks doing it in a blindfold, and it's amazing. But the odds of just a simple cell happening is that.
We're looking, yeah, we're looking. Yes, yes, ma'am.
All right.
Brody, right?
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
Never can have too many eyes enough looking. But just the odds would be, to cut to the chase here, Dave, is if you had the galaxy full of people, shoulder to shoulder, all blindfolded, all doing the Rubik's Cube, all ending up at the exact same second. That, I don't know how many people that is, because people can't fit shoulder to shoulder in our galaxy, but if they could, that's the odds of life happening by bumping into each other. That's the probability. In other words, it's not possible, it's not conceivable. And so just the math, and folks kind of defend old Charles Darwin and say it's not fair because he didn't know the complexity of the human cell, he didn't know DNA, RNA, he didn't know the chromosome chains, and so he couldn't have known how long it would have taken. And I think, you know, the hypothesis for years was 500 million years, but that's not enough time for this chance for this stuff to happen. And so I think Hawking came out a few decades back. Stephen Hawking said, well, you need 15 billion years. So forget the 500 million, it would take 15 billion. Well, mathematicians, agnostic, atheist, and Christian alike, have all said that that's not enough time. 15 billion is not even the ballpark. It would have to be, you know, 15 billion times 10 to the whatever to even make that happen. So when you look out and just look at that sun coming up, it is amazing just to think of water and how it holds together, because it's polar, and what's underneath the ocean there, stuff you can't even see. God's world, it is amazing. You know what I mean? And you and I were talking about that in Romans 1:20. Paul told the church in Rome, he said, for from the creation of the world, his invisible attributes, both his eternal power and his deity are discerned clearly, being understood in the things created, so they are without excuse. In other words, you and I don't really have an excuse when we look around. Gosh, this super detailed, designed creation that is just amazing that we're still figuring out. It can't happen by chance, Dave. I talked way too much and we missed the sun coming up.
That was really just gonna let that sink in. I heard you say that it takes more faith to believe that this would just happen by chance than it would to just read the Word of God and accept it.
Yeah, I mean, just talking to scientists, they're okay, to say amino acids came from the sky and bumped into each other, and that's how we came to be. But you ask them where the amino acids came from, they'll say, well, it came from a black hole that threw up, kind of basically. You say, where'd that black hole come from? And the answer is, well, another black hole threw up and this one sucked it in. And you keep saying, well, let's go back, where'd the first black hole come from? The answer always is, I don't know. I guess it always existed. So even scientists with no faith have to have faith that something always existed. And so now you and I are right back to an eternal being.
Yeah. An eternal Father, right? That loves us crazy, you say.
That helps me not just hear it and know it in my brain, but to feel it. The sense that, to experience God's love.
How much He must love us to create an earth that's got such a beautiful sunrise. For us to say, Father, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this creation that you've blessed us with.
Yeah, some folks, and I don't get mad or anything, but some folks worship creation. They're like, let's go look at the sunrise, or let's go to the mountains. Good golly, let's stop and worship the one who created all this. This is like a three-dimensional painting right here in front of us. That's amazing. I thank you for getting me out of my bed, Dave, to come here. Because I would have missed this if you hadn't invited me. So shame on me, man.
I love Fridays. Fridays with Lewis are great.
And thank you for coming to the gathering service too.
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to be there Sunday again at 10:45
Oh yeah.
at the Pawleys Island Presbyterian Church. You're going to continue talking about creation?
Yes, sir. Well, yeah, we're moving it. Well, we're actually moving more into the Creator, and we're going to talk a little bit about, God, we're starting where we ended off, that God loves us like crazy, and then moving into how God pursues us. It's not like we have to get super smart or intelligent to go after Him. He pursues us. So that's more what we're talking about on Sunday.
I always find it amazing that as we watch the sunrise and are just kind of in awe that another one of God's creation, in an important part of God's creation, like a bird, watches it with us.
And He's right there, man.
Yeah, man. He's like, check it out. He's worshiping too.
He might also be looking for some food.
Yeah.
I can't fault him with that, though.
I smell a little bit like Cheetos. Oh, goodness. So your wife, Debbie, is an artist.
Yeah. She's the creative one in the family. It is fun to see how her brain works, how God created her. She can think stuff up. We just did this big kickoff a couple weeks ago. Her and Madison Gully, our family director, just came up with this amazing kind of layout one room looked like Jonah's mouth. I mean, the whale's mouth, and Jonah was inside. It's just her creativity is mind-boggling, man.
I think there's a special responsibility with people that create like that,
Yeah,
because when they do it, or when God blesses them to be able to do this, to create something just incredible. I had a friend named Hutch who passed away a while ago, and he had always had a problem with people that, or any pictures, because he felt like it was creating a graven image.
Yeah.
You know that deal.
Yeah,
Sure, and
sure.
he had a real problem with that. I think sometimes that artists that can create and are just incredible, there's a similar responsibility. Like you're creating something that only God could create, and so you have to give credit to him. I think it's wonderful that she does. That she does that and blesses the church, blesses the church family.
Yeah. She used to work for a couple huge architecture firms when we lived in Atlanta. And they would give her huge budgets to design the interior of these malls. And it was amazing. Like when we were dating, she would take me to a mall. We were visiting a friend in Lauderdale. And she would take me into the Fort Lauderdale Mall, and she was like, all right, tell me what you see. And I'm like, floor, some chairs, table,
So that's before that.
You don't ask an engineer. He's going to tell you the function, what's going on. And so she would tell me, she's like, no. And then she would point out literally 10 spiritual things she put in the design of the mall. And so, I remember then we got married, and we would be somewhere else. We'd be at Houston at the Galleria, and she'd be like, okay, tell me. And so I got good at it. I'd be like, okay, I see 3 sections. She goes, yeah, that's for the Trinity. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And then you put the fountain in the middle. That's the Holy Spirit. She's like, yeah. And then, I would go on for 10 minutes pointing stuff out. She's like, you're halfway there. And I'm like, I'm done. And she'd be like, no, you're missing the whole creation kind of a motif over here on the left. And if you go to the right, it's the kingdom coming. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to.
That's so cool. I love that she does that. So now he's got a little buddy.
He does, man. He's still just looking out there and chilling and being thankful.
He's got one eye on the sunrise and one eye on us.
He's not sure about us, man.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that's great. My wife just checked in. She says, that is cool. She loves that your wife would do that with the mural, right? She did a mural, right?
It wasn't mural. It's just the whole design. I mean, she did painting, but it was the whole design of the mall, the layout of the spaces, the decoration of the spaces. Where I would see chairs, she'd be like, but look at the design of the chair we ordered. And I'm like, 4 legs? I was clueless. So.
That's neat. Well, Louis, I appreciate you sharing a little bit of what you shared last Sunday and a little bit about what you're going to share this Sunday. And
Thank you for asking.
It's about time for us to turn this thing around and sign out. I know you probably have a big day.
It's my day off. This is my Sabbath, so I might have something big to do, like weed eating or pruning or something like that. But other than that,
that's all right. Well, Louis Imsande, I appreciate you joining us this morning.
Over here with you, man.
Yeah, I like doing that. I'll raise my arms. There you go. So God bless you. God keep you. Thank you so much for being a part of this morning's Sunrise and Surf Report. Louis, thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you, Dave.
If you want to be a part of something exciting coming up this Sunday at 10:45, you want to be part of the church family, please join us. 1045 Pawleys Island Presbyterian Church. And
Awesome.
you can hear more about the Creator and how much He loves you crazy.
Yes, sir.
Anything else you want to say?
Man, I'm just glad to be here. Y'all come out for the sunrise, and you will see God and just in action and at work.
Thanks so much.
Right. Bless y'all.
Bless you.